Sunagakure. The first one that must be mentioned among the powerful Kunoichi of Sunagakure is certainly Pakura, because she possessed an extremely rare Kekkei Genkai, Scorch Release. This bloodline limit allowed her to attack with terrifying heat orbs that dehydrated enemies from the inside out, turning the battlefield into a barren and deadly wasteland. In fact, Pakura could finish off her enemies very quickly, apply constant pressure at mid and close range, and burn through any defenses her opponents set up. Thanks to this, she was once an elite jonin and the pride of Sunagakure. However, tragedy struck when she died in an ambush betrayed by her own village. Later, Pakura was summoned again through Edo Tensei during the Great War, and she immediately became an enormous threat, as her Scorch Release continued to showcase its terrifying destructive power. Another Kunoichi, who was also extremely prominent, representing Sunagakure for a long time, even into the Boruto era, was Temari, the older sister of Gaara. With her giant iron fan and her mastery of wind release, Temari could sweep across and control the entire battlefield. As early as the Chunin exams, when she was still a genin, Temari had already proven herself superior, even being considered the strongest genin Kunoichi of Part 1. This was further confirmed when she easily defeated Taiyuya, one of Orochimaru's Sound 4. Although in Shippuden, Temari was no longer given as much spotlight, she was still undeniably one of the strongest Kunoichi of Sunagakure. However, if one name must be chosen as the most deserving, in my opinion, it is Chiyo, because Chiyo was not only a legendary Kunoichi, but also a master puppet user, once wielding power equal to Tsunade when the two were young. Moreover, she was an expert in poison techniques, as well as the wielder of Sunagakure's ultimate secret technique, the 10-puppet collection of Chikamatsu. The pinnacle of her combat career was undoubtedly her confrontation with Sasori, praised as the strongest puppet master in history. That battle was nothing less than a deadly chess match, where puppet techniques, medical ninjutsu, and poison arts clashed head-on. With her experience and wisdom, Chiyo countered nearly all of her grandson's abilities, while also displaying remarkable teamwork with Sakura. It was this combination that allowed them to defeat an Akatsuki member, something not just anyone could achieve. Many fans have belittled Sasori simply because he fell to Sakura, a Kunoichi who at the time had not yet reached her peak. But upon closer analysis, it becomes clear that Chiyo's indomitable will and secret techniques were the decisive factors. The most important point is that Chiyo sacrificed her life to revive Gaara, the 5th Kazekage of Sunagakure. And because of this, among all the Kunoichi that ever appeared in Sunagakure, from Pakura with her destructive Scorch Release to Temari with her overwhelming Wind Release power, it was Chiyo who truly left the greatest mark and deserved to be called the strongest Kunoichi of Sunagakure. Kirigakure. An interesting fact is that Kirigakure traditionally did not encourage women to become ninja, so the number of Kunoichi in the village was always very limited. However, throughout both Naruto and Boruto, there were at least 3 notable Kunoichi who left their own distinct marks of power. The first to be mentioned is Ringo Amayuri, one of the members of the 7 Ninja Swordsmen of the Mist. During the 4th Great Ninja War, Ringo was revived through Edo Tensei and immediately proved her fearsome strength by wielding the twin swords of Kiba, channeling lightning release into the blades to sweep across the battlefield, tearing apart everything in her path. Ringo even displayed a deep hatred of men and took pleasure in killing them. Although she was ultimately defeated, her power remained unforgettable to the audience. Moving on to the Boruto era, we have Buntan Kurasuki, the daughter of Raiga Kurasuki. Like Ringo, she also wielded the twin swords of Kiba and unleashed extremely powerful lightning release techniques. Buntan possessed speed, ferocity, and masterful sword control, to the point that Sarada Uchiha struggled greatly before finally managing to defeat her. This clearly demonstrated that Buntan was a formidable Kunoichi of the new generation. But when it comes to the strongest Kunoichi of Kirigakure, there is unquestionably only one name: Mei Terumi, the 5th Mizukage. As one of the 5 great Kage, Mei was both a leader and a warrior, with an exceptionally versatile skill set. What made her truly special was that she possessed multiple Kekkei Genkai at the same time, something extremely rare in the shinobi world. Specifically, Mei was proficient in both Lava Release and Boil Release. A special variant of her Boil Release once produced a corrosive mist so powerful that it left Sasuke Uchiha in serious trouble during the 5 Kage summit. Not only that, she was also an outstanding Suiten user, controlling Water Release at an advanced level. On the battlefield, the combination of her Water Release and her Kekkei Genkai was so dangerous that even Uchiha Madara had to take caution, while Sasuke suffered heavily, as he was unable to counter her devastating techniques. And because of all this, if one must choose the strongest Kunoichi of Kirigakure, it could be none other than the 5th Mizukage Mei Terumi. Kumogakure. Compared to other villages, the number of Kunoichi in Kumogakure was not large, but those who did appear were all extremely formidable names, embodying the powerful and explosive style of the Hidden Cloud. The first to be mentioned is Karui. Karui possessed incredible speed and highly skilled kenjutsu. The image of Karui relentlessly beating Naruto to interrogate him about Sasuke's whereabouts right after Sasuke had temporarily captured the Eight Tails is surely unforgettable to many fans. Although she did not have much spotlight in combat, Karui later drew attention when she married Choji Akimichi and became the mother of Chocho, helping extend the shinobi generation in Boruto. Another Kunoichi who also represented the Hidden Cloud, though with a rather brief appearance, was Samui. She was not only strong in kenjutsu but also intelligent, calm, and strategic. During the Fourth Great Ninja War, Samui cooperated with the allied shinobi forces to face the infamous Gold and Silver Brothers, Kinkaku and Ginkaku. Even when falling into dire circumstances, Samui still left the impression of being a tough kunoichi, not at all inferior to her male comrades. However, when speaking of the strongest kunoichi of the Hidden Cloud, it must undoubtedly be Yugito ni the Jinchuriki of the Two Tails, Matatabi. Yugito was one of the very few Jinchuriki who could completely control the power of her bijou. Although her screen time was brief in the battle against Hidan and Kakuzu, she still managed to showcase extraordinary abilities from high-speed taijutsu to extending her claws to increase lethality, making her extremely dangerous in close combat. The most impressive aspect of Yugito was her ability to control her bijou. She could instantly transform into the full Two Tails form, and when unleashing the complete power of Matatabi, Yugito became a true weapon of destruction. Her pounces could tear apart the battlefield, her flaming body charging into melee combat, combined with terrifying fire release techniques. Because of this, there is no doubt Yugito ni was the strongest kunoichi of the Hidden Cloud, a female Jinchuriki both intelligent and fearsome, carrying within her the true power of Kumogakure. Amegakure. One kunoichi that must first be mentioned from Amegakure is Ajisai, a character with an extremely tragic fate. Before becoming one of Pain's 6 paths, Ajisai appeared in the Chunin exams during Naruto Shippuden, where she demonstrated remarkable ability with sealing techniques. Because of this power, Ajisai later caught the attention of Nagato, who turned her into the animal path. The body specialized in summoning giant creatures. Ajisai's fate ended when she lost her own self and existed only as a tool in Pain's hand. But of course, when speaking of the strongest kunoichi of the Hidden Rain, the only name that can hold that position is Konan, the sole female member of Akatsuki. With her unique paper jutsu, Konan displayed coldness, intelligence, and extreme danger on the battlefield. She once directly faced Jiraiya, took part in the invasion of Konoha alongside Pain, and most notably left the strongest impression in her battle against Obito Uchiha. In that fight, Konan prepared a staggering 600 billion paper explosive tags, turning an entire sea into a deadly trap to annihilate Obito. If not for his use of Izanagi, Obito would have certainly died at Konan's hands. With her intellect, composure, and unparalleled combat ability, Konan fully deserved to be recognized as the strongest kunoichi of Amegakure, and also one of the most striking and tragic female characters in the entire Naruto series. Iwagakure. If you think the number of kunoichi in the previous villages was already small, then in Iwagakure it was even rarer. However, there were still a few figures who left their mark and deserve to be mentioned on this list. The first is Suzumabachi, a character who only appeared in the fillers of Naruto. Her name in Japanese means hornet, and fittingly, she possessed unique skills related to controlling insects, particularly hornets. Suzumabachi also used poison techniques in combat, creating a style quite similar to Shino Aburame of Konohagakure. Although she was only a filler character, she once caused considerable trouble for the Genin generation, leaving the impression of being a dangerous kunoichi. In the Boruto era, we have Kirara, a kunoichi who used illusion manipulation, a skill quite similar to genjutsu. Although she was not portrayed as particularly prominent, Kirara still proved troublesome and dangerous in battle, contributing to the variety of Iwagakure's kunoichi abilities. However, without much debate, the strongest kunoichi of Iwagakure was undoubtedly Kurotsuchi. Kurotsuchi was not only the granddaughter of Noki, the third Tsuchikage, but also the daughter of Kitsuchi, and thus was trained from a young age by some of the village's top masters. Kurotsuchi was highly skilled in earth release, and most notably, she possessed 2 rare types of Kekkei Genkai: lava release, which allowed her to create destructive molten lava; calcium release, a unique variation that could transform earth and stone into lime-like material, solidifying or sealing opponents, and even draining their energy; Although her Kekkei Genkai was not heavily showcased in the anime, every time she appeared, Kurotsuchi proved her exceptional combat ability. During the Fourth Great Ninja War, even without much screen time, she still demonstrated superior skills. And although she was often compared to other legendary Tsuchikage and considered weaker, within the scope of Iwagakure's Kunoichi, Kurotsuchi was certainly the strongest. Otogakure was the village founded by Orochimaru, and also the place where many experiments and special shinobi were gathered. Although not many Kunoichi appeared, the ones who did left unforgettable impressions. The first to mention is Karen with her exceptional chakra sensing ability and her power to heal allies by allowing them to bite her body. Alongside her was Guren, a master of crystal release, a unique Kekkei Genkai possessed only by her. However, both Karen and Guren usually operated in Orochimaru's hidden bases rather than truly living in or being directly tied to the Sound Village. A more representative figure who appeared during the Chunin exams was Kin Tsuchi, teammate of Zaku and Dosu. Kin used sound-based genjutsu with bells and vibrations, once trapping opponents in dangerous illusions. However, her strength was not enough to be considered remarkable. Kin died tragically, was later resurrected by Orochimaru through Edo Tensei, and was even defeated by Shikamaru Nara in a rather humiliating way. Therefore, it is clear she cannot represent the peak power of Otogakure. The one truly deserving of the title of the strongest Kunoichi of the Sound Village was Tayuya, a member of the Sound 4 Orochimaru's elite bodyguards. With her demonic flute, Tayuya could trap enemies in extremely difficult-to-escape sound genjutsu, while simultaneously commanding 3 massive monsters known as Doki, creating immense pressure on the battlefield. In her battle against Shikamaru, Tayuya not only overwhelmed the Leaf's tactical genius with her Doki, but also used her sound genjutsu in combination with the Cursed Seal, Orochimaru's curse mark, to greatly enhance her power. If not for the timely arrival of Temari, Shikamaru would likely have been defeated. What's important is that Tayuya's strength did not lie only in her genjutsu, but in the perfect combination of physical offense through the Doki and her strategic sound manipulation. She could simultaneously control the mind and overwhelm the body, leaving her enemies with almost no way to escape. And for this reason, Tayuya is regarded as the strongest Kunoichi of Otogakure. Konohagakure. Now we come to the most debated village, and also the one that produced the greatest number of powerful Kunoichi in the entire Naruto world, Konohagakure. Among them, I will choose 3 representative figures to analyze. The first is Hinata Hyuga. With her Byakugan and mastery of Juken, Gentle Fist, Hinata demonstrated considerable flexibility on the battlefield. She had refined defenses and precise strikes that directly sealed off Tenketsu chakra points, paralyzing her opponents. In addition, Hinata was an excellent chakra sensor thanks to her Byakugan. However, her potential was never fully developed. Due to her gentle nature and dislike of fighting, Hinata rarely trained extensively and seldom took part in major battles. By the time of Boruto, she had completely stepped away from the ninja path to become a wife and mother. For this reason, Hinata cannot be considered the strongest Kunoichi of Konoha. The next candidate is certainly Sakura Haruno. In Part 1 of Naruto, Sakura was regarded as weak, but moving into Shippuden, she underwent a complete transformation after training directly under Tsunade Senju. Sakura mastered chakra-enhanced strength, unleashing devastating punches. With her absolute chakra control, she became a top medical nin, arguably the strongest medical Kunoichi in history. Sakura also possessed the strength of 100 seal, which allowed her to regenerate even fatal injuries during combat, and she could summon Katsuyu, just like her master. The clearest proof. During the Fourth Great Ninja War, Sakura not only survived until the very end, but also landed a direct punch on Kaguya Tsutsuki, playing a decisive role in sealing the Rabbit Goddess. However, when considering the entire history of Konoha, the most deserving name is Tsunade Senju. From a young age, Tsunade was a prodigy, fighting in the Second Great Ninja War, and, alongside Jiraiya and Orochimaru, becoming one of the legendary Sannin. From her very first appearance in Part 1 as the 5th Hokage, she showcased overwhelming power, bone-crushing punches, supreme medical ninjutsu, and extraordinary intellect. She saved the lives of Choji, Kakashi, Rock Lee, and countless other ninja. In Shippuden, Tsunade stunned viewers when she divided her chakra through Katsuyu to heal all of Konoha during Pain's invasion. Especially in the Fourth Great Ninja War, Tsunade confronted Uchiha Madara head-on, surviving a Susanoo blade piercing through her abdomen and even shattering Madara's Susanoo ribcage with her punch, an extremely rare feat. Therefore, the debate over the strongest Kunoichi of Konoha often revolves around Sakura and Tsunade. While Sakura may surpass Tsunade in some aspects such as perfect chakra control, in terms of peak power, Tsunade still edges ahead thanks to her massive chakra reserves and extraordinary durability, partly due to her Senju and Uzumaki lineage. For this reason, Tsunade Senju is still regarded as the strongest kunoichi in Konoha's history. That said, Konoha has many other strong kunoichi as well. Mito Uzumaki, the first wife of Hashirama, and the former Jinchuriki of the Nine Tails. Ino Yamanaka with her clan's mind techniques. Kurenai Yuhi, a genjutsu specialist. Tenten, a master of weaponry. And Anko Mitarashi, a former student of Orochimaru. Moving into the Boruto generation, we have Sarada Uchiha, who I believe will certainly rise to become the strongest kunoichi of Konoha thanks to her Sharingan and the exceptional combat prowess inherited from the Uchiha clan. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Turn on the notification bell so you won't miss any of our upcoming videos.